Before there was humor, there was nothing. Nowhere to laugh, nowhere to smile, just pure boredom and no point of existence. But then, in 2003, a small group from San Diego would change the course of human history forever. That group, still continuing to this very day, would become one of, if not the greatest internet comedy group to ever exist. They are Mega64. Few groups on the internet are able to say that they have been around for almost 2 decades, and Mega64 is one of those groups. With 15 plus years under their belt, Mega64 remains one of the most classic, influential internet comedy groups of all time. From their small, humble beginnings, they have risen to be one of the greatest groups, and what's the most impressive, they have remained independent for their entire livelihood. While other groups were either acquired by larger corporations or separated, Mega64 remains powered by their own community. Unlike my previous video, how this will work is I will briefly go over different eras of the group, and at the end of each one, recommend the videos to watch. Now, in order to formally start, we'll need to go back to 18 years ago, in 2003.
Did you see what that snake was wearing? What a slut. And the size of its cock was so huge.
Mega64 was started by high school friends Rocco Bodie, Derek Acosta, and Sean Chatfield. The original plan was to put a show called Mega64 onto public access television, but after it was denied, they decided to put the videos they had made into a little growing thing called the internet. Some of the earliest videos in their history were Shenmue, Frogger, Tetris, Hitman, Dig Dug, and Metal Gear Solid. The Tetris video in particular was an early viral hit for the group, and to this day has garnered over 3 million views. Another group of videos were some of the early sponsored Ubisoft advertisements for Prince of Persia, Ghost Recon, and Splinter Cell. These videos would also prove to become very, very popular. During this time, the group started filming their own version of Mega64, starting with version 1. The story involves 2 characters, Rocco and Derek, who were kidnapped to be test subjects for the sinister scientist Dr. Pock and his game console, the Mega64, along with his assistants Horatio and Marcus, which composed of 5 episodes. The show continued in 2006 with the release of version 2 as it continued the story of Dr. Pock, Rocco, Derek, and now more involved Sean, who was a minor character in version 1. Production value received a major boost due to the success of version 1, and a larger emphasis on the story showed their early growth and the best having yet to come. Around the same time, they launched the Mega64 podcast, which started as an audio only, but then switched to video format starting in 2007. To this day, the podcast still continues and is bigger and better than ever before. Around 2007, Mega64 also began filming skits for IGN, which only lasted a few years and garnered the group a larger following. While the early years can show the growing pains, there are still some amazing videos worth viewing. These include God of Games, Paperboy, E3 1975, all of the Backyard Messiahs, Average Cowboy, Timbo, and Local Leaders. Some of the most popular videos during this time include Tetris, Resident Evil 4, Metal Gear Solid, and Assassin's Creed. The early years of Mega64 show what the power of passion and love for what you do can return, and this would only continue in ways not many people were expecting. Beginning in 2008, Mega64 would become a full-time gig for all 3 of the guys. With the shift to full-time, they were able to acquire a studio, craft their art, and continue working on version 3 for their show, Mega64. Along with the podcast going to video, they began streaming to Ustream until 2013 when everything was moved over to Twitch. Along with the podcast continuing, a tradition that continued from the early years was the Christmas cast, the annual tradition of Mega64 crew and friends getting together before Christmas to essentially create internet magic. Starting off as seeing who could chug a full carton of milk in an hour to bringing the most impressive platter of food to the podcast, whether it be a full bottle of wine, a cake, or clam juice. The outcome of the Christmas cast would best be left unexplained.
And he's
The growing years saw an increase in production and variety in Mega64's catalog as well. While still doing video game experiments similar to Resident Evil 4 and Tetris, they began forming more concept-driven videos where a central idea either happening in the game industry, or around the internet would drive the style. These can be seen in their Portal video and Billy and His Time Belt. During these years, another video series began gaining popularity and has since become tradition. The Todd and Aaron Game Awards, featuring best friends Todd and Aaron breaking down the year overall in the penultimate end of the year show. To this day, the Todd and Aaron videos remain one of the most anticipated events on the internet every single year. With all of these growths, Mega64 would also see more involvement from their friends. Garrett Hunter, who in 2018 would become an official member of Mega64, grew in involvement as their makeup artist and prop designer. Other friends include Kevin, Brian, Eric, and Frank, most of which have continued to be part of the Mega64 family to this very day. With the exception of Eric, but we don't need to go into him anymore. With all of these jumps for the group, the videos to recommend of this era are any of the Todd and Aaron's, Billy and His Time Belts, Gamer Wars, Indie Man's, Sonic Sucks videos, Catherine, Modern Game Journalism the Movie, New Consoles Then and Now, Pizzatron, Gudaragi's Way, and the penultimate 10-year anniversary video, Sequence Erase. 2008 to 2014 showed a massive growth for Mega64, many all-time classics coming from this era and becoming traditions. However, what was to follow the next year would show to be one of the biggest years in their history. Following their 10-year anniversary in 2013, Mega64 continued to experience further success and popularity into the next 2 years. However, a decision in 2015 would ultimately grow them into something larger than ever before, with the help of their loyal, amazing community. They launched their Patreon, which allowed them to expand their productions to greater heights than ever before. In their announcement video, Mega64 stated the purpose of the Patreon was to allow the group more larger opportunities for video productions. The Patreon also allowed them to expand into doing smaller videos, which resulted in Friend Dimension, a weekly show where they all play a game together along with friends and just shoot the shit. The Patreon also consists of bonus never-before-released videos and pictures along with the showing of the original version 1 through 3 digitally for patrons to view. A brand of video that also began during this time was the In 5 Minutes video, beginning with the Dragon Ball Z Frieza saga in 5 minutes suited. The video would prove to be one of the most popular videos on their channel and displayed Mega64's craft for practicality and effects and creativity. This continued with the Cell Saga, Metal Gear Solid, and most recently, Evangelion. Keep in mind, some of the videos don't hit 5 minutes and extend just a little longer. With the expansion in Patreon, Mega64 also grew their Twitch presence by launching the Mega64 TV blog, which would play endless videos from their entire library 24/7. At this point in time, the block has been suspended due to the COVID pandemic and possible other reasons, but the block also included videos from each other's personal channels throughout the years, as well as blocks created by the community. They also began streaming more in general to reach out to their community and be more transparent and collaborative. Mega64 has also expanded their merch line, but not just providing shirts, but also hats, hoodies, sweatpants, sweatshirts, pins, and much more. Along with this, their yearly event Game Days, which began in 2009, grew much larger during this time. Game Days is a weekend-long event where Mega64 holds panels, sells merch, and the following day, everyone goes to Disneyland just to hang out. It's events like this that show Mega64 has been there for the community and has no sign of changing. All this said, why should someone actually check out Mega64? Well, not only do they have incredible quality videos, but they continue to put their community and art before anything else. How can I back this up? Well, I've been a fan for 15 years. So this is the part where I just kind of go off of no script and really just explain what Mega64 means to me. I first discovered Mega64 back in 2006 when I was 10 years old and I was inside of a youth center. So because my parents both worked after I got off of school, I had to go to this youth center where I mainly just messed around on the computers that were there, and they also had an N64, which, if I recall, if you touched it just one little wrong way, it would just break altogether. But when I was on the internet, when I was on the computer, I discovered this video that was for Metal Gear Solid. And because this was 2006, I just assumed that it was a new thing for Metal Gear Solid 4. When I clicked on it, the title Mega64 came up, and the whole thing with Rocco and Derek when they're in the codec screen, I had never seen anything like that up until that point, because in 2006 I was 10 years old, Gen Z, whatever. And seeing that there, it just like hit something with me where I really, really dug it. And the video of Derek going into the shopping center really just made me laugh. I had never seen anything like that before. The idea that these people were recreating video games in real life to an extent, and it was legitimately funny. And it was for 2 years that I actually couldn't remember the name. And then I discovered another video in 2008, which I believe might have been the Castle Crashers video. I don't remember, but it was a video during around that time where basically they interview people, where basically Rocco and Derek would be these two Christians that acted like Castle Crashers was a insult to the Crusades, and it ended with this dude talking about how there was pedophiles across the Behemoth's studio, and it was just one of the most ridiculous things ever how to end a video, and I loved it. When I got much older, I basically throughout high school I continued to follow Mega64 just by watching their videos, and when I was able to get income with the job, I ended up buying some of their merch, which is the footage that has been playing over and over as I say this, and maybe even some of the videos. I haven't really decided yet as I'm recording this, because this is all improv and I'm doing it in one take. I bought a lot of their merch. I would tune into their podcast. I would just consume them for the past 6 years that it's been, ever since I graduated. 6-7 years it's been since I graduated high school. And funny enough, I actually got to a point where I was able to meet Mega64 because they went on their tour, their East Coast tour, in the beginning of 2020, before the whole world went to shit. And I purchased a VIP package because of course I did. I've been a fan for 15 years. I had always dreamed of meeting them, and I was able to. Funny story, if somehow any of the guys ever hear this, I don't think they'll remember this, but I remember running into Garrett in the bathroom of this little area that they were going to perform. I had to use the bathroom really bad as I was just kind of sitting waiting for the show to start. And I had this thought like, oh, maybe if I go into the bathroom, maybe I'll run into one of the guys. But then I was like, nah, that's not going to happen. That's not going to happen. And then as I'm washing my hands and I'm wrapping up, barreling through the door comes this tall dude in dreads, and it's fucking Garrett. And I'm just kind of shook like, oh, hi. And he was super cool. Obviously washed my hand, dried my hands off, and shook his hands. He thanked me for coming to the show. And I was just breathing heavy the whole time after I finished that. And then another moment happened when I walked back out into like the lobby area of this, or like the restaurant area of this place. And I see Derek coming with like a plate of coffee, and I just hold the door open for him. He's like, oh, thank you. And in the video footage, it actually mentions, what's up, Killian? Thank you for coming. Thanks for holding my door. That's in reference to that. So if Derek somehow hears this, not a problem. I'm always happy to open a door for people. But yeah, like Mega64, like they really mean a lot to me in terms of what they do, and they just feel the most real out of everyone that is on the internet. Everyone on the internet that I see is usually after some kind of clout. They're after like just they want to become this bigger thing. And Mega64 wants to do that as well, but they want to do it in a way where they can keep doing the thing that they love and they don't have to sacrifice their integrity or even their community, because really they've always been there for the community and they will always be there. I hope that if the world does come together at some point, I would love to attend game days one day. Maybe if they do another tour, I'll definitely love to see them again. But if anyone who watches this video, thank you for watching. I don't know if I'll ever make another video after this. These last 2 videos I made were something that had been on my mind for such a long time, and then ultimately I just decided, well, fuck it. I'll just make it. And then, you know, I did it. And that's what I did. Definitely check out Mega64. They are incredible. They have been around for close to 20 years at this point. 18 this year, which is insane. And by the time I'm recording this, they actually have another Evangelion in 5 minutes coming out, which is End of Evangelion. It hasn't come out by the time I finish this, which may be in March, or whenever this comes out. But yeah, thanks for watching this video. Definitely check out Mega64, and yeah, thank you for taking the time to listen to me.